sinking like stones, all that we fall for. Homes, places we've grown, all of us are done for. And we live in a beautiful world. Yeah, we do, yeah, we do. We live in a beautiful world. Bones sinking like stones.
Organics and biodynamics are a couple of buzzwords in the wine business of late, but what's the difference? What do they actually really mean? I'm here in McLaren Vale with Mike Brown from Gemtree, and he's going to kind of give us the goods on those two words.
My simple explanation is that organics works from the ground up. So you're looking at really just at the leaves and what's growing up above the soil, whereas biodynamics is very much what's happening in the soil. So what we're doing with biodynamics is trying to invigorate the soil, increase the soil organic matter and the water holding capacity. So what we want is with biodynamics is the soil to be invigorated, so therefore you're getting a better balanced plant. With the organic section, you're really only working from the ground up. And the results that I've seen with the trials that we've done with biodynamics, we actually have a trial going at the moment of conventional viticulture, biodynamics and organics. Organics is giving us a change, but biodynamics is giving, I suppose, essentially that natural flavour. I don't have to add any acid, I'm not adding any yeast. Everything that's out here in the vineyard then shows through into the final wine.
No, that's interesting. So, okay, if you're saying that you're not using any pesticides and herbicides, so how do you combat whatever it is that you were trying to combat with those pesticides?
Sure. People were saying you could grow bigger crops, you use chemicals, we can minimise disease for you, etc., etc. And everyone got into that regime and thought, wow, this is amazing. But essentially all the soils were dead and your plant was just growing and doing its job. You throw your toolbook out the window, all right, and you go with what feels comfortable. We know that when you prune a vine, the vine is then going to grow. If we get rainfall, you could get an event of downy or powdery mildew, which will be disease. What we do with the biodynamics is we operate on the lunar cycle. Okay, so when we have an ascending or a descending moon, we spray a thing called 501, which is silica, which is basically crushed up quartz, right? We spray that into the atmosphere, which combats let's say, the disease that was floating around in the atmosphere. Right, now that sounds a bit weird, but essentially we run on the calendar, so the lunar calendar is about biodynamics. Instead of spraying a chemical, we will use the 501 preparation to be the resistance against if any disease was going to arrive. Now 501 is the silica and 500 is the manure concentrate which we put onto the soil. There is nothing artificial about it, right? So all we're doing is literally, I think the easiest way to explain it is increasing the water holding capacity of the soil, so therefore we don't need to irrigate.
Well, that's fantastic. Certainly in a country like Australia where water is a bit of an issue, that's pretty compelling stuff. How does that actually tie into the fruit flavour? Has it changed? Have you seen the difference between your conventionally farmed plots and what you're doing now?
Certainly. This was the vineyard we decided to begin our biodynamic regime on. The first thing was to stop spraying the chemicals, so to get used to the fact that weeds were going to grow, right? And what has actually happened here is that the weeds have been eradicated by the grass. Okay, so a natural grass exists through this whole vineyard, so we don't actually essentially now have to spray for weeds at all. That was the first thing about the balance that we noticed with this vineyard. Right, now you've got to remember, we're 4 years into this whole program, so I'm certainly not an expert.
Right.
So we've been learning as we go. Bringing the sheep in here, so instead of basically bringing a tractor through and using a slasher and compacting the dirt, we just put some sheep in here, when there's no green growth. And
because they'll eat this, they'll go after this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They'll eat the fruit, they'll eat everything. Right, so we cordoned off this vineyard, right, and we have the sheep in here to come and eat all the grass, all right, and there's no weeds here anymore, but they used to eat the weeds as well. We're not encouraging it to try and grow a big crop. We're encouraging it to be balanced, and so what it's actually sprouted here over the last 3 years, it's balanced itself. There's a level where your plant will actually stop achieving, right? You're pushing it and pushing it, pushing it. Eventually it's going to say, well, hang on a minute, I can't do any more.
Because there's nothing left in the soil.
Exactly. You grow a great tomato, right, that actually tastes like a tomato, you'll see that everything's healthy. The soil is healthy. We're not trying to push it into growing, 50 tomatoes. We just want 4 per bush and they're going to taste, fantastic.
That's great. Plus, I guess the part of the issue too with viticulture is it's monoculture, which is maybe not the healthiest thing for the soil anyway, and you're adding some diversity. by,
Yeah.
by playing around with these
Yeah,
grasses,
yeah.
not just sort of clearing everything out.
Definitely.
If you were to run a plough through, say here, and just look at the soil underneath in your biodynamic farm vineyard versus your conventional one,
Sure.
would there be just a noticeable, like from the average person could look in there and say, wow, that looks much healthier? Is that
Okay,
something-
you can see the difference, and if you rip a conventional vineyard versus a biodynamic vineyard, the biggest thing you'll see is the life of the soil and the sponginess, and your dead soil will crumble up in your hands, and your alive soil will actually group together. It will still have water in it, right? Although it might be dry, you will still feel a sponginess in that soil. Second thing is, and the most important thing is, you're looking for earthworms.
Right. Are you seeing a more concentrated flavour, or?
Yeah, it's a purer flavour. You've got lovely fruit sweetness and good acid balance, right? So instead of having to add acid to, I suppose, re-obtain the balance that we've lost in the vineyard, I don't have to add that acidity, right? Because it's all there.
Would that have been something that would pretty much a yearly occurrence? You would be adding acidity?
Absolutely. And certainly in a warm climate. Sugar increases, right? And your acidity decreases, right? Now, finding that balance, right, of when to pick that is the critical point. Some people want to take sugar a little bit higher, and then we can always add acid to bring that balance back. Well, the objective here is to pick line ball.
And that's easier.
Much easier, and what we've noticed with all our biodynamic vineyards, right, is that balance is coming earlier. Okay, and we've had a couple of really warm seasons, right, and our biodynamic vineyards have far outperformed, right, the conventional vineyards that we have used.